so we can get some background information as to why she started and why she sat down in her journey, those the 4 years of her writing the book. So let's watch this. Hopefully it'll do what I needed to do. There's two parts to it. So if you guys want to go back and watch, I can send you the link and you can always go back and watch it as well. Oh, geez. Will you be able to hear?
Yes, we should be able to hear.
If I'm sharing it using my computer at school, Jamie?
Oh, you're sharing it that way. I'm not sure if we'll be able to hear or not.
Okay.
Just type in the link on your computer that you're actually doing your video on.
Okay, so you say use this. Okay. Let me see if it'll let me do it. Oh no. So if I share the video will play, but it won't, voice won't be heard, right? How can I
No,
get?
we can hear. We should be able to see the video and hear the video if you do it on. Or did you not connect your computer via internet audio?
Now I don't know how to do all that. Um, okay, so audio, I need to do connect. We said do. I don't know how to do that.
Just try to play the video, and it
Oh,
should.
okay. I can hear you now.
Okay. Did you want us to see anything on the screen though?
Hold on, I'm trying to see. Can you hear?
So the lady number 6, I'm more than you.
Were you guys able to hear? Jamie? No. Okay. No, hold on. No, me and technology. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and share my other screen and see.
Yes.
How do I stop this screen? I don't know anything about Zoom, Jamie. How do I stop this screen from sharing? Do I just click on stop sharing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay, awesome. I'm going to share my other screen then. Okay. Allow. Let me pull it up. Okay. I'm gonna try to share this one. Let's pause. Share. All right. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, stop share. Okay, good. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Application. There we go. All right. We in it. Can we see now?
Yes.
All right.
You're home. I am home. The book is out. The book is out. You are going to be at the United Center tonight. It's all crazy. You feeling? No, excited, nervous. Just this weekend, I kind of realized because I texted my staff. I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just realizing this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, duh. It just really sort of hit me.
When did they teach you how?
Saturday.
What were you doing?
I think people were starting to review the book, and it sort of leaked out, and then people were reading, and I was reading their views on their reviews of the book, and it was like, this is real, this is out, this is it. And then it was sort of a rush of kind of the last 10 years. So I went on a kind of a crying thank you tour. I called my brother. I was like, I love you. You're such a great big brother. I called my staff. I was like, you guys did terrific. I went up and talked to Barack. He's like, what? He was a little scared. I was like, honey, I love you. And I'm so proud of you.
He's like, wait, what do you want?
That's exactly right. That's how it went. He's like, okay, you okay? So sometimes it takes some moment for it to all sink in.
Yeah,
so.
well, thank you for making me have so many moments since I got the manuscript last week up until right now. I think everyone in this room is like, I cry all the time. That's the tissue right here. I don't know if they're running for me or for you, but this book is about you, about all of you. And I think the thing, I felt like we knew you. But reading this book, I told my friend, I said, I feel like I'm reading my girlfriend's diary.
Because it's also about us, and not just us as women or Black women, but us as people. I think, what I know about my story is that it is the quintessential American story. This was the place that helped me become, in so many ways. We're sitting in my high school. Whitney Young was like my first big step out of my comfort zone. Coming from South Shore, hour-and-a-half bus ride, and coming to this, what was then a new magnet school, because magnet schools were a new thing where kids all over the city were coming. So I was meeting Black bourgeois kids for the first kids who belonged to Jack and Jill. I talk about that in the book. A little bougie.
Okay.
But my friends loved them.
We love them.
People whose parents were doctors in business, and Black kids too. I hadn't seen that in my little working class community. So this school helped me find a place where I could get smart and feel good about it. This was a place where every student here was striving for the same thing. And I have a special connection. Whitney Young helped give me my voice at a very early age. So why wouldn't we be here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you just talked about your voice and feeling comfortable here, because there are parts in the book where people in your own family, your cousin, said to you, why are you talking like a white girl? And I think it brings up something very interesting that not everybody can relate to, in terms of there are two languages, and you had to fit in South Shore.
Oh, yeah.
Then you come up here to Whitney Young, and you're like, whoa, there's a whole new world here where maybe I have to be someone else, and finding that. And even speaking with the girls that you spoke with yesterday, I mean, what do you say to kids who were struggling to find their place?
Yeah. Well, first of all, recognizing that they're not alone in that struggle. I think sharing that story, because I know there's so many kids, whether it's, coming from a Black community and saying you talk like a white girl, or talking a different language and being a different culture, leaving a home where most of the people don't go to college and going away to college. There are so many different versions of, talking like a white girl. That was just my version of it. First of all, I think acknowledging that happens and that there's a disjointedness that happens to you. Then I talk about that disjointedness the first time I went to Africa to meet Barack's sister. When you were an African American and you're going to the motherland and you think, I'm going to feel like this is my home, but then you realize that, just because you're African American doesn't mean that people in Africa can relate to you. So there's so many, ways that we kind of lose the sense of who we are and where do we fit in. I think it's important for kids to hear that from somebody like me, for all of us to share that, because I know you must have experienced that being on TV, and how do you push beyond who people thought you should be?
Right.
What happens to the people you leave behind, and how do they feel about it, and how do you straddle that? Make sure that your success doesn't mean that you're looking down on the people that you love and you care about. Not a lot of people know that there are kids walking that tightrope every single day. So
yeah, this book is so much. Becoming is a place of hope for so many, for that girl on the South Side who has to walk through the gang territory, or maybe that kid from Pilsen who's afraid to dream big because of the color of his skin or his accent. And I love that you're still preaching that hope.
Oh, that's, I've said it, we owe it to our kids to live in a place of hope for them, because what's the alternative? I want kids to look at me and my story and look at my husband and look at you and all the role models of people becoming something more than anybody ever thought they could be, and it's easy for kids to look at me now as Michelle Obama, the former first lady, and think I could never do that. So it means so much to me to like strip this all down and say, no, I am really you. At the very core, I was you. No smarter, no more entitled, no more gifted. And if I could do it, you can too, because that's the truth. I mean, Val, truly, that's the dirty little secret that sometimes we don't tell kids. This isn't magic.
It's work ethic.
It's work ethic.
You have the work ethic
and belief.
Belief, confidence. Well, let's talk about confidence. Because in this book, again, I'm thinking, Michelle Obama doesn't lack confidence whatsoever, but you doubted yourself.
Oh yeah.
All throughout every stage of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Always when, I wondered whether I was good enough to leave my public school in the neighborhood, Bryn Mawr, and come to this bastion of privilege and in a public school setting. Right. Was I good enough to make it into Whitney Young? Was I good enough to get through Princeton? Because there was always somebody saying that I couldn't, and society says you can't. I had a roommate at Princeton that I write about. That unbeknownst to me, she didn't think I belonged. Didn't even want to live with me, and she moved out. I didn't even know that.
I bet you she regretted now.
Well, she did. But there's also a point of growth for her, and I knew about it because her mother wrote a letter about it. I can't remember where she wrote it, but she talked about it as the point of growth. So yes, there's so many times in my life where somebody plants a seed. What I say, failure is a feeling before it's an actual result.
I think it's page 66 because I wrote it down. I love that. And I think so many kids need to hear that. Read that. How do you?
Well, not just kids, but adults. True. Because a lot of times it's the adults who plant that seed, right? And that's why we have to be careful how we talk to kids. How we step on and that doesn't take much to plant that seed of doubt in somebody's mind. So, that's not just a message to kids, that's a message to us as the nurturers, as the adults in the room, to understand that it is easy to hold a kid down with the slightest suggestion that they can't be something.
All right. Awesome. That was a good bit for us to unpack. So let's see. Awesome, everyone. That was good. All right, so going forward, let's go ahead and share the screen. Hey, Brandy.
Sorry, y'all. I just walked in the house. I've been listening.
You're good. Thank you. I'm trying to share my screen again. I have to learn Zoom, y'all. I'm sorry. All right, so Denise's going to jump in as soon as I'm able. I guess I'm still sharing.
No, you're not sharing anymore.
Okay. I'm trying to share. Okay, maybe having. No, okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my. No. Let us start. All right. So that was a lot. So we got a little background information on, Mrs. Obama and why she decided. So now we would like everyone to go ahead and join us on Nearpod, and you will type in your browser www.nearpod.com. It will look like something to that nature. And then once you get there, Denise going to type in the chat, the code, and you're going to place your code where it says student join the lesson.
Yes, and if you don't want to, you can also go to the chat box and there's a link for the Nearpod lesson there as well. So you don't have to type in the URL. You can just click on that link and it will take you straight to the Nearpod. So what this is a presentation piece where we can actually collaborate together to discuss the first 8 chapters of the book. If you are going to the code, or going to the URL www.nearpod.com, then you can just use the code capital F6H2, and that's an I, and that's in the chat box.
I don't see it on my end.
No, see, I can redo it. I can send it again.
Or is it asking me to?
Did it come up for you?
You said it's in the chat?
Yes, it's in the chat.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yes. Okay. So Brandy said yes, so she can see it.
Just click on it.
Yep. Just click on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if anyone's made it in.
I'm clicking and nothing's happening.
Cynthia in.
You have to try going into putting in www.nearpod.com into your browser and then putting the code in.
In the chat?
Yeah, the code is in the chat. Yes.
Okay, you want me to go into the browser, click out of this and go into the browser?
Yes, ma'am. And that's 2 and an I.
Yes.
And Sandy, as Denise has stated too, since she posted the link, if everyone clicks on the link, all you have to do is literally enter your name and it takes you directly there. So they don't have to put in a code.
Yep, I see Betty, Brandy, Cynthia, and Jamie are all into the Nearpod lesson. Awesome.
And I'm joining.
Come on, gal. Was this everyone's first time reading the book, or did you guys read it beforehand? Anyone's second time reading Becoming?
It's my first time. I've had it.
Yeah, first time.
Keep it all pretty on the shelf or a little stacker held up. Tempted to read it. Finding time to read it. This is great.
Yes, it was everyone's Christmas present last year, I think. I know I got a few copies. And I will be honest and say I didn't get through all of my 8 chapters, but I did read. I'm going to catch up. I promise I am. So as soon as we're done with tea, then I'm catching up.
Denise, you sound like me. I didn't get a chance to read all 8.
We're going to catch up, girl. We're going to catch up.
Yeah, we all are. We got this. We have Thanksgiving
audio. It was easier for me to do the audio, so I'm on at chapter 9. I'm an eager beaver.
Oh, look at you.
Yes.
Me too. I am too. I'm on 9 too. I couldn't stop reading, so I started. I'm like you, Shonda.
Oh, I love that. I need to do the audio version then. I need to do the audio version to catch up.
I listened to it while I'm
end up doing the audio, start the audio version as well.
That is so smart, LaShawn. I like that idea. I'm always trying to be traditional and go buy the book and read the book, and then I find myself behind. So I'm gonna start listening.
But
Okay.
I bought the book too because I actually don't have a copy of it. But like I said, I'm listening to the audio.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so if you're in Nearpod, you see Becoming Me. And so in chapters 1 through 8 of Becoming by Michelle Obama, let's have a conversation about Michelle's perspective on how she became who she is. So we're going to start. Thank you, baby. We're going to start with the preface. So how did it help set the stage for Michelle telling her story in her own words? What do you think were some goals of her memoir, and what key points did she want to convey? So what do you guys think that why did she write this book? So if you have any thoughts, just jot them down and share them on this collaborative board. Yeah.
You want me to, you want to share, Denise? You want to share the,
My screen?
your screen?
Yes.
All right, let me just,
That would
let me.
be easier, so I would have to go back.
Yes.
Yes.
So let me leave mine. And then, so you can share. Stop sharing. So how do I go to?
But I love what everyone's saying. I feel the same way. Sandy said to help others overcome. I said to be relatable and to, you know, we already were, you know, in love with her. So it was like a way for us to connect with her. Jamie said to inspire and to encourage. I agree 100%.
Okay, hold on. I'm sharing over here, so I need to stop sharing here. Oh. Once I learn Zoom, okay, perfect. All right. That's better. You should be able to share now.
Yes, I'm good.
Yay.
It helped others to realize that she was keeping it real and to be encouraged. Right. Yep. She's so relatable, so down to earth. I think that's why we loved her even before the book, right?
Yes.
All right, so that set the stage, and then we keep going. So throughout her story, Michelle acknowledges that one reason. Hold on. She's such a hard worker and goes the extra mile is because she's always wondering, am I good enough? So let's talk, and can we relate to feeling that way? And when did we feel that way? So let's just have an open discussion. You can complete the poll and then let's talk about it. Can everyone see what? Hold on, y'all. I'm changing it to student view so I can see what you see. Oh, so most of us said absolutely. And some of us said kind of that we can relate to her. So does anyone want to share when you thought you weren't good enough and how you overcame that?
Well, for me, I think it's just the time period that I grew up in. You know, I grew up and I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and you know, there was always like a racial divide, and you know, I guess my parents, they were always instilling in us to, you know, to try to do your best and to be the best, and you know, when you went out, you know, just being in areas where people always thought you weren't good enough. You know, white people always thought you weren't good enough. You know, I seem to be always trying to prove that I was.
Oh, yes. Anyone can anyone relate to that in terms of just of that time frame and that time period and relating it to to others? Yes, honey.
It's not only white.
I can.
Or white people.
It's not only whites, it's some blacks feel the same way about each other. You know, back in that time.
Oh, yes.
They had a little bit, because they had a little bit more than you did. They thought they were better than you, or they wore better clothes, things like that.
And I can relate.
And I agree. No, it's not what the some of the same things. Yeah. Yeah.
I can relate based on like colorism. My grandmother, I was, you know, I'm brown skinned and I had a cousin that was light skinned. And I always questioned if I was good enough because I was treated differently than she was because she was lighter than I was. So they always praised her in terms of her looks, you know, looking pretty and, you know, her hair. And then I was like, and then she didn't really say anything to me. So I was always compared to her and she was always put on a pedestal because of the way she looked. So every time I did something, I was like looking for a reward and looking for, you know, some type of approval because I always questioned if I was good enough because of how my grandmother treated me. So I certainly can relate to that. Okay, let's keep going through the book, y'all. And please excuse my little one. It's early and and she's just rambunctious right now. Okay, so why do you think Michelle chose to attend Princeton over other colleges? And why did she decide to become a lawyer? Share your thoughts, and you can put in some images if you would like to on the collaborative board.
All we need is some teriyaki sauce.
All you need is some teriyaki sauce. I love that. It makes me feel much better about my little one saying eat. What y'all got? What did we read? Why did Michelle go to Princeton instead of an HBCU?
Better college.
She thought it was a better college. Yeah, I'll type that. So you can see.
I think she went because one of the administrators at Princeton didn't think that she was good enough to enter that school, and she was always an achiever. And I'm going to show them. I'm going to go to this school. She was, to prove the administrator wrong.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that, Estelle. And then LaShawna said she felt like she chose Princeton because her brother was there, and she decided to become a lawyer because she really wanted to get a better education. And she wanted to strive and be better and do more. And I agree 100%.
Yes.
I think that goes back to the am I good enough? She was always trying to prove that she could do it, and she was good enough, and she was capable, and she could go there just like anyone else, right?
Right.
I'm on Zoom.
I feel the same way too. I feel like she went there because she, in her mind, I'm good enough. I want this. I'm going to do it, regardless of what anybody else thinks. I'm going to do it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. That reminds me of the incident at the beginning of the story where she talked about missing the sight word, the color word, and she went home and studied and came back and kind of made the teacher give her another chance to do it.
Oh yeah.
That's when it all started for her to prove herself to everyone, is doing that one incident with the color word. That it all started. She had to prove herself to her teacher and others that she was good enough.
Right.
Oh, I like what you added there, Jamie. It says, Michelle Obama writes in her new memoir, Becoming, that one of the most pivotal moments in her life was when a college counselor told her she wasn't Princeton material, kind of like what we were talking about. And then it says the future first lady decided to disregard the counselor's opinion and apply anyway, and then she got in. When she started at Princeton, she said she learned that she was just as smart as everyone else, despite what she had been led to believe. And she also mentioned something of the sort in the 8-minute clip that Sandy played as well. I love that.
And I think that's, speaks volume into speaking affirmation over our lives as well as our kids, to let them know that regardless of what other people may think, yes, you can, and that might be the whole motto, the slogan when Obama was running. Yes, you can. Yes.
Yep, that is so true. Because then, like she said in the video, it's not even how other kids talk to each other, like, why do you talk so wide and other things like that, but it's adults who are saying things to children, their parents that have no clue what they're saying to their child. And so that's when we take the role in our villages, take the role in making sure our children know that you can do it. You can be anything you want to. You can go to Princeton, you can go to Harvard, wherever you want to go.
That's where you go.
I love that.
I don't have him up, but go ahead, see what you want.
Did we talk about her becoming a lawyer? Why she chose to be a lawyer? Questioning the status quo, that might be why she became a lawyer. And then LaShawna said became a lawyer because she really wanted to get a better education. She wanted to strive for more. Do we have any other thoughts on why she wanted to become a lawyer? Not really. Okay.
And she was very goal oriented, you know, even when it gets to the point where it starts talking about her relationship, she really didn't want a relationship because she had a goal in mind. She was, you know, she wanted to do something totally different. She just wanted to focus more on becoming someone, becoming better. So a relationship wasn't at the top of her agenda at that time.
Right. And then Cynthia added, she wanted to help people. Oh yeah, and that's so like her as well. Okay, let's keep on moving. Okay, guys, I cannot find. Oh, looks like some questions were skipped. Here we go. In Becoming Me, we get to know Michelle as a child and her parents and brother. Her parents made sure education was a focus. So on page 40, Michelle remembers that when she was about 10 and chatting with a group of girls her age, a distant cousin asked her, and my screen went out. Can someone finish the question for me?
Why she talks like a white girl.
There we go. Why she talks like a white girl. So looking back, she recognized the challenge of squaring who you are with where you came from and where you want to go. So let's talk about why this was an eye-opening interaction for her. And she also mentioned this on the video as well. Were any of you guys ever told you talk like a white girl?
Yes. Yes, I get that a lot.
I get that too.
Yes.
I don't.
Neither do I.
Yes, I do too.
I always get that that happens over the phone all the time. I will, customer service, you know, they haven't met you yet and I'm on the phone and I start to talk. And when I show up, they're looking for me. I'm like, I'm right here. And they say, oh, you sound like a white girl. What does that mean?
My coworkers told me at the courthouse. My coworkers told me that I have two voices. They said that like when I answer the phone, they know who I'm talking to. Like if I'm talking to a patient or something like that, they was like, but if your sister called, you got a whole totally different voice. I'm like, yeah, that's my sister.
Right. I think that's just a change. The inflection of your voice is okay. I have, my brothers always say that too. Like, oh, here she come. That's the real voice. There you go. What's the real voice?
Okay, so my question with that, and I'm going to throw it somewhere else. So does that have anything to do with being Black in America? There's that whole, you know, you sound like a Black girl, or we have to code switch how we sound. Is that, you know, to me, I feel like that has a lot to do with being Black in America, having that code switch of, okay, when I'm talking to this person, I need to sound like this, but when I'm talking to this person, I need to sound like this type of thing.
I don't think the sound of your voice should make a difference, but I think with just your terms and vocabulary that you use may be different.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't, certain things I just wouldn't say when I'm having a general conversation with a family member that I might say are terms I may use when I'm talking with a colleague. So I think that makes a difference, but I mean, I really can't change the sound of my voice. I want to, you know, sound a little bit more whatever, but it is what it is, and I just keep it real.
That's okay.
I agree.
Just the terminologies that you may use may be totally different. Right. I might say ain't when I'm talking with, you know, friends, but right. I'm in certain situations.
So do we have a tone that sound, you know, that's because we know, like when we get on the phone with, oh, this person's Black, but is it something in our tone that says we are Black? I always wonder about that.
We just sound different, you know. And they can be very personal, but sometimes you could just tell that you're talking to a Black person, and or whatever. And I think it's what Dr. Bess said. You know, when I talk to my sister or somebody, I may use broken English or something like that. But you're right, when you're talking to coworkers, you would speak totally different. And it still goes on because my daughter is 14 and she told me that people tell her that she talks white. I know, talk how you're gonna talk, you know.
I feel like during certain like times, we actually talk with authority. I get that a lot. Like whenever you speak, it's like you demand attention, so you speak with authority. So I get that a lot when I'm talking to different individuals, like all the time.
And a lot of people take that as if you're being an angry Black woman or you're being confrontational, because I get that a lot. And I have to say, I'm just I have that authoritative voice, and that's a family for me.
And also, I've recognized that they're intimidated by a Black woman who speaks. I'm gonna say what they say, like a white girl. But I consider that a little insulting for someone to say, you talk a white girl. And it's like, like you said, I don't talk like a white girl because I don't want to be a white girl at all. So I'm not trying to talk like a white girl. I am this is just how I talk,
it's my tone.
It's my tone. And like LaShonda said, I may change what I say to family members versus coworkers because you're just a coworker, so you're a coworker. But I may say ain't or whatever when I'm talking to family and friends. So, I'm right there with Michelle and all y'all too.
And I always say that I have a professional voice. And I have a voice that I talk with my family and friend with, which is totally different. You know, you're relaxed and you're communicating with your family and friend. It doesn't mean you have to use the right English or anything like that. But when you're in an office, you're going to carry yourself professionally. And that's what I always say when someone says that to me. I said, that's my professional voice.
Right. So how do we think that this interaction with her cousin shaped who she is? Michelle, similar to what we're all saying about our life?
I think it helps her to understand that, I'm not trying to be white. Like that's not who I am. I'm not trying to be white, but I am going to hold myself to a specific standard. I think that's how she viewed it.
Right.
And she also said that her parents, they ensured that they spoke correct English.
Yes.
In their homes that they speak correct English. So that's where all that comes from.
Yeah. And that's the way my mom was too, because we were in all these Christmas plays, Easter plays, and all that good stuff. And she would sit down there and say, no, that's not how you say it. You say it like that. Michelle was being who she was. That was her.
Exactly.
Hey, y'all. Can I add something to that?
Yes. Hey.
So I snuck on late. I just got to work. Sorry. But I love this example because it can kind of be a two-way street too, because in my family, I'm the first to go to college. So I have a big family, but most of my family, they moved up in the church. They didn't really go to like get a degree or anything like that. And I get that a lot from my family. Like, oh, you talk like you better than us. You talk like you're just so highly educated. And I actually have a speech impediment. So I'm like, I actually work very hard to come off authoritative to kind of work on my impediment that I can't really help that. But I think sometimes as Black women, we kind of do that or discourage each other with that type of dialect, because I've had people say, oh, you come off intimidating or you come off too strong at times. And it's not that I'm trying to come off that way, but I've practiced so hard to like work on my dialect because of my background and because of that lack of being put out there to talk a certain way. So now that I'm older, it's love now, but at first when I moved away to college, away from home, and I would come back, oh, you talk like you better than us. You act like you don't white people. And I'm like, no, just I was right. I was exposed to a lot more than what I grew up around. So when I moved out of away from California, I was exposed to different cultures, different dialects, different type of Black women, different type of leadership. So I think sometimes we just have to kind of be mindful of what we say to each other too, because it got to a point where I was like scared to even talk, believe it or not. So I was scared to talk because I was like, I don't want anyone saying I'm trying to be something that I'm not. I'm just being myself.
Just being yourself. Yep. I agree. And it is sometimes our own family and friends and people who say that they called it out first. White people don't say, "Oh, you sound like me."
That's true. But sometimes with white people, the trick with that is that they'll actually act surprised that you talk so educated and eloquent or so authoritative. And I'm just like, just because I'm African American or whatever doesn't mean I'm not educated, or I'm not smart, or that I can't communicate. So sometimes with that, I've had that experience where they're like, "Oh, she's actually smart." I'm like,
"Oh yeah,
yeah."
Oh yeah, I think Jamie said that earlier, that she encounters that often, and she's just like, nope, I have an authoritative voice, and and I experience it with white people as they're just they get intimidated. So I love that we have similar stories.
Yay.
Is there anything else that I'm noticing the time? I know that there's another meeting at 6. Is there anything else about the first 8 chapters that you all would like to talk about? Is there something that you read that stuck out to you and you maybe jotted it down or highlighted it and you want to just share? And before we end this meeting, to read the next, 7 chapters or so?
9 to 15.
9 to 15.
What I like about Michelle, she was never ashamed of where she came from. I remember one statement she made that I can't remember how she said it, but it was like, she didn't use this word, but she says, I'm representing my neighborhood, but now I'm representing my race. And I thought that statement was awesome.
That is. Anyone else?
I would like to say that I love how she is sharing different levels of herself to everyone. So, I mean, you don't really, I know she's in a different position to share. She's a former first lady. In my eyes, she's still the first lady. But when we just think about myself in general, I kind of hide my background, not because I'm ashamed of it, but it just doesn't really come up. So I just never mention it. So you don't really know, where I come from or how my life was when I was 10 or what a teacher said to impact me. And I love that we can read that from someone that we look up to or respect as such as herself. And then we can really relate to that. And then I started to think, I can share my story too.
Yes,
it's okay to share your background and see where you were and how you became who you are. That's such a testimony and a journey that, you should, people who, that are in your circle that you love should just know. Exactly. So I felt very inspired by that.
Yeah, I liked how she put the story together as well. It just kind of, I don't know, it resonated with me that, it seems like she was trying to say, I didn't just wake up Michelle Obama one day. I had all these different pieces, that helped me to become, and I'm still becoming. I'm, what I am was still not where it stops. I'm still becoming.
Yes. So inspirational. Yeah. I can't wait to see what she did with her and Barack. That's
And I just want to tell you all that you ladies have done an excellent job. This was so interactive and we could get involved. And I love the presentation that you all shared that allowed us to share our own personal thoughts as well. And I've just enjoyed it. This has been the best book club that I've been a part of, with all of the interaction and everything. So thank you, ladies, so much.
Awesome. Thank you. While we are ending our next chapters 9 through 15, our meeting will be December 3rd, and we will hear from Ms. Betty, Jamie, and Dr. Foster. The 3 of you will start us off. And remember, ladies, you don't have to have a whole presentation. We okay with that.
I'm just talking to y'all. This is great.
Yes, we just want to talk and get feedback. You're right. You're right. It's the teacher in me.
And ladies, I know we're about to get ready to end, but I just wanted to say thank you all for your time. If you have more free time this afternoon, please join us for our Member Connect. Our Thankful Thursday at 6 p.m. And that meeting is starting immediately following this meeting.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us.
Good job. Good job.
I'm gonna catch up, promise.
Me too.
It was great.
All right, have a
It
good
was
night.
great.
Good night.
All right, see you shortly. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.